I just made a post on LinkedIn giving our party agenda for URTEC. It's going to be a busy week. It has been. I mean, it seems like every week's busy for us, but this week in particular is going to be busy. So we'll be in Denver on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, catching up with everybody in the tech space there. Got a lot coming up in the next few weeks, so be a busy one. Tim, what do you think, man? It's going to be busy?
It's going to be so busy.
Tim's stoked about it. So Tim gets a little bit camera shy, but it happens like you got like it's weird, man. Like Joey's here with like this big ass $4,000 camera microphone. It's way different than. But then it's so funny because if you go follow Tim on Instagram, so Tim is an influencer. With like, how many followers do you have?
200 followers.
200 followers. He's a big time influencer.
And growing. Yeah. Quite quickly.
But you watch his Instagram stories and they're funny as shit, man. You do well on Instagram story videos.
Making fun of myself is easy. Yeah. Talking serious on camera is hard. But
it is. So yesterday we had our good friend Youssef in here to record the podcast. You know, Youssef is a good buddy of mine. What's really cool about Youssef is young cat, 28, 29 years old. He's running this sizable oil and gas company. We went and grabbed lunch with him.
You're going to be on like the YouTube map, not just the oil map as it is.
Here's the thing. I'm already famous in my own mind. I got great hair.
Are famous. You're the most tatted oil exec there is. Maybe we should go through your... Wait, what's the tiny tat? Is that your nickname now?
That's not my nickname. I'm not very tiny. The tiny tat's a secret.
It's like an ironic thing, though.
It's an ironic thing. It is somewhat ironic.
Is it? Okay, here we go.
It says tiny, that way you have to sit there and look at it and you're just staring at it
what is that?
The entire time.
If you catch the podcast, you'll hear about it, but we talked about his dad's book that he came out with. It's called From Dirt Roads to Black Gold. And so Youssef's dad was originally from Pakistan, immigrated to Canada, only had $30 in his pocket, ended up building a really successful oil and gas company. So it's the cliche, true version of rags to riches, from literally a hut in Pakistan to owning a big mansion over in River Oaks in Houston. So it's a pretty cool story. His dad put in all this work to give him this opportunity, and now Youssef's taken that opportunity and ran with it, not only doubling the company, but on pace to tripling the size of the company. Really cool story, seeing what his dad's done and then what Youssef is doing to take it to the next level. Also, another really cool thing about this book, if you guys go look it up, I haven't got a chance to read it yet. I actually just got this copy yesterday. Youssef brought it to us, but his dad wrote it. Took him 4 years to write it. I don't know if you've ever tried to sit down and write a book. I have. It's a painful process, but all the proceeds from this book are going to his dad's charity. So they're not even making any profit off this book. It's going towards a charity that helps build infrastructure for the needy here in Houston. So pick up this book, follow Youssef's story. Super cool guy, good friend of mine. Sometime we're gonna go to his house, and he's got a few supercars that we need to take a look at. Man, he's a daily motivation for me. Every time I'm feeling down, I just look at Youssef and I'm like, man, I want some cars like you, man.
I got into cars at a very young age, and I think the first thing I ever loved seeing was a tractor. I saw this tractor and I was just like, holy shit, that's so cool. And then I kind of grew up and into cars and whatnot, and I was blessed enough to kind of work my way up into, I started off, my first car was a Honda, and that was the car that my dad gave me, and he told me to listen, you like nice cars, you like nice things, work for it, earn it, right? That's what the oil and gas industry is there for. That's what, life is there for, right? And if you can get to it, great, and if you can't, then, as is life. So I was able to kind of learn from an early age that I wanted this, right? I wanted to have the nice things in life, and I wanted to have a car that could do this.
Tim came up here. It's Saturday morning. That's why I like Tim. He's willing to work on Saturdays.
100%.
Lining out our schedule for URTEC, so we'll be leaving on Monday to go up to URTEC. URTEC's just a big upstream technology conference. Really just go for the parties. There's a lot of parties, so we'll be going to World Data Labs party. Corva is having a party on Tuesday night that I'm really excited about. Our friend Jim Thorson is doing a energy tech hub is the name of it on Tuesday. They'll be having drilling info there, doing a panel on I think M&A. Our friends Reservoir Data Systems are going to be doing a happy hour on Monday at 5 to 7 p.m. at their booth. It's going to be free margaritas. They're doing a dope giveaway. I think tomorrow on Sunday we got the Oilfield Basics guys coming by the office. They're in town. A couple of young hustlers, petroleum engineers. I think they just graduated college, working for Anadarko now, but they do great content. If you haven't seen Oilfield Basics, check them out.
We didn't start the company with a podcast in mind. We started it just as like we wrote a quick course basically. It was like 15 hours worth of stuff. Yeah. So it's not real quick. Gotcha. But you're just tying everything together for people.
Yeah,
on the upstream side.
The original idea was to create this library where you could go learn anything about oil and gas or whatever tools it may be.
And that's where we really want to continue with.
Yeah.
It is more so with the video content. Because, I mean, that's how we like to learn. That's how I think almost everybody likes to learn.
Yeah,
And I think there's just a ton of opportunities.
Yeah.
And a ton of different ways you can go about video for the oil field.
So we got some pretty big things happening with Wildcatters. Obviously, you guys know about the Oil and Gas Startups podcast. We're going to be launching some new shows, hopefully, in the near term. Excited about getting that going, putting out more content, especially, mine and Jake's knowledge is limited to what we can talk about. So getting some different shows where people have different technical expertise to bring their perspective. Really excited about that. Another thing that we're working on, very early stages, prelim, but one thing that we've seen that there's a need in the market for early stage funding for startups. We talk about this a lot on the podcast. And there's also a need for people in the industry that want to invest in these early stage startups, whether it's digital technology, oilfield services. You have a lot of people in oil and gas that make six-figure salaries. They have a little bit of discretionary income. They want to invest $500, $1,000 into startups, but there's not a way for them to do that. So we've been working with some regulation crowdfunding platforms that are licensed by FINRA, seeing how we can work together to give exclusive access to people in the industry to where they can invest in these startups. So something that we're really excited about. It's actually, me and Tim have been talking about it pretty extensively over the past few days. So just trying to see how we can work that out. Really, the whole thesis of Wildcatters is how can we push the industry forward. And we started out, Jake and I, just by putting out content ourselves. So it was kind of low level production, just us here in the office trying to figure shit out. And, I think that we've increased our production quality on the content, and we want to give a platform for where other people in the industry can put out top tier content as well without having to deal with all the back end, administrative and, it's hard, man. I think this year alone we're putting out nearly $100,000 in content production, and that's not doable for most people. So we're enabling others to put out that content and have a platform to tell their story or to share their insight and knowledge. So I'm excited about it. Tim's excited about it.
I'm super excited about it. I will show more of that through the
we're
camera.
Gonna get, and so Tim's like marketing guru, right? And so I want Tim to actually do a podcast to where he's giving insight, marketing tidbits for oil and gas companies, because some of the biggest questions that we get are on the marketing front, like, hey, how can we put out content like you guys are? So that's something that we want to teach other companies how to do too. So Tim's going to be the man for that. Man, we're busy running and gunning.
There's a lot going on. We have a lot of really interesting projects happening.
Yeah.
So super excited about something.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much all we got to talk about.